Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the November Highland District Parish Council meeting. I'm going to have to leave the housekeeping just for some public announcement. Okay, there are no planned fire alarms. If the alarm should sound, please exit the building using the nearest available fire exit. Once leaving the building, please make your way to the muster point, which is located by the staff car park and is identified by a green sign positioned in the shrub bed. Please make yourself known to a member of staff on duty. This meeting may be recorded. The meeting may also be recorded and broadcast by the press and members of the public. Please see Section 8 guidance for public participation, including recording the use of social media at meetings. Do we have any apologies?
Yeah, Councillors Chris Harrison and Mark Clark.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Wade?
So in the budget, it's referenced that we'd give an office free use to the HVHA, of which I'm the council's appointed trustee, and in the pitches costs, obviously there are the football club pays to use Shore Road. I don't think that's created interest. My son plays with them, I coach, but we don't use it. And I raise this also in the communities. So I do think it needs to be held. Thank you.
Thank you for your transparency. Any other declarations of interest?
Chairman, I'm going to talk about ABC6, which is a Hampshire County Council project. But clearly I have not anything to do with the project.
We appreciate that. That's all okay. Do we have any written requests for dispensations?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, on the show. Community service update. I'm assuming everyone has read we don't have a presentation today.
I have given apologies there on the occasion today.
Okay, thank you. The ACSOs, I'm assuming everyone has read the ACSO report that was provided in the agenda pack. Okay, thank you. Okay, minutes of the council meeting held on 24th of September. I'm not going to try and match the pages because it never works. I'll just refer to this page 1, 2, 3, etc. So, I'm just going to go through page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, and page 5. Can I just propose if there are any? Okay, is everyone going to vote on them?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, announcements from the chair. I do have an announcement. You may like to wish to encourage members, and we'll pass the message on to the wider community, to complete the government's open consultation on proposals for local government reorganisation in Hampshire, Isle of Wight, Portsmouth and Southampton. Okay, we are actually putting information and a link on the website as well. So I'm sure we will all councillors will put something in, but we can encourage our residents via social media channels to participate in this as well. Okay, we have reports by county and district members. So this is brief reports. So can we have Councillor Wade as county councillor?
Thank you, Chairman. I did send this out actually earlier, just to make that point. But it was in the format of a verbal report, not a written one. All I will be in that format as a result. Okay, well, the headline is that Hampshire County Council have a £143 million budget gap for 26-27. It will be funded using reserves and savings for cuts with a £230 million budget gap for 27-28. By March 26, they have delivered £734 million worth of current savings since 2008, including 94 million in the current financial year. That means a lot of cuts, reductions in services since the start date. It was advised at the council briefing that the council had not stopped having council tax rises for a period of 10 years. The council would be £111 million better off than it was today. The impact of the cuts are clear to see, and the next slide is an example of that. Council produced a business plan report on the council activity centre, proposing direction of travel to have a managed retreat from the assets, in a way that protects service delivery in the short to medium term with a long-term solution. This is an exact quote from the report. The report goes on to say, converting the site to a coastal park based much like this on the impact of climate change on the site, which the council cannot afford to manage. The report went to the Universal Services Committee, then the Cabinet the next day, which had set the business plan report. There was nothing in the Cabinet meeting, apart from some nice sounding words, had acknowledged the 2 million across all the outdoor centres. However, as this was an outline business plan, there were no figures or detail, that is not happening yet. But we must be ever watchful for when the next report comes to council. This being reported caused quite a stir of administration, that you may see it on social media, but saying council is still there is not saying the activity centre is there, which clearly won't be if it's a coastal park. The government consultation, as the Chairman has mentioned, LGR started with a number of options, with everyone being encouraged to fill them in. We thought we might come with one option, but they've come with a range of options. We should know by mid-March next year whether the New Forest District, in particular Waterside, will end up in as usual. Tomorrow there's a Hampshire Council meeting where I will present a motion requesting a review of Hampshire County on street parking charges and their impact on the local economy of the county's towns and villages. I don't know how it goes next time. Fortunately, we don't have them in high. So, finally, information relating to its improvements are on the agenda item before later in the meeting. Brief.
Do you have a report from the council on that one?
So,
Any opportunity? Right. Now again, the district court is involved some members. I'll go around the table. Councillor Dowd?
Thank you, Chair. On the 6th of October, I attended the local plan working group, and on the 15th of October and the 16th of October, I attended the financial strategy working group. This is where a panel of councillors asked budget-related questions of the portfolio holders, those are the cabinet members of the district. After this was reviewed on the 23rd of October, a report was prepared. On the 21st of October and the 22nd of October, the Community Infrastructure Levy Task and Finish Group, a panel of councillors assessed the bids for project funding against the District Council's priorities. The recommendations then go to Cabinet for a review before full council. On the 18th of November, Councillors Cullen, Wade and I attended the opening of White House Close. This brings to the end 5 years of building works on the site. Councillor Alex Wade, Malcolm Wade, our Deputy Clerk, and I also attended a meeting at Appletree Court to discuss the letter the Parish Council received from the Environment Agency about Prospect Place. Much of what was contained in the letter appeared to depart from what we had been told earlier in person in a meeting by the Environment Agency officers at Prospect Place. The situation underscores the issues around continued lack of comprehensive coastal strategy covering the east of the district. Without a strategy in place, access to grant funding is limited, if not impossible to achieve. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Dowd. You had a busy time.
Oh, yes.
Councillor Malcolm Wade, please.
okay, since the last council meeting in September, we had the New Forest District Council extraordinary meeting to discuss LGR and a council proposal for rural Euclid Council with technology in these hands, which had universal support. There was a normal council meeting in October dealing with a number of issues, including the medium-term financial plan with positive news about fair funding review, giving the council a much rosier picture than their forecast of an extra 1.2 million in 26-27. Also, a motion by Councillor Alex Wade asking the council to write to the government and local MPs requesting public buildings demands, such as Hyde Police Station, be sold to another public body for the benefit of the public, like social housing, instead of pure profit. Or sadly, as expected, the Conservatives did not support this. Profit before people every time. This was followed by an extraordinary council meeting on the 3rd of November as one Tory council jumped ship to be independent, which removed their majority, but only for 4 hours. As one elect to be unaligned, both biblically came back into the fold. Over the 4-hour period, we had to hold a meeting to see if anyone would challenge the leader of the council. Well, the Tories now back with a majority and support some of their independent councillors. They had numbers, so no point in challenging that position. I attended another meetings, including the Audit Committee, Planning meeting, a Cabinet meeting, a number of financial strategy and finish groups on the Council Down, interviewing the portfolio holders and the financial aspects of their group. With the spectre of LGR on the horizon, it is important NFPC financially competent in its performance. Question mark. The corporate peer review gave NFPC a nice report, but sector scrutiny was not good enough, and more needed to be done in that area. Finally, as the focus of NFPC's rollout to new waste strategy has now switched to phase 2 area of Greenwood and Fordingbridge, whilst the issues are not as great as in phase 1 rollout, NFPC are still in the mire. They have completely failed to deliver in reasonable time, being months behind schedule, and accurately the waste sacks to phase 3 area to such an extent I have 50 emails from Ivan residents, 50, who complained they haven't had their sacks delivered after NFPC had completed the area. I know other local NFPC members have been continually complaining on behalf of our residents on this matter. They are still not delivered to every road, as they believe they have. NFPC advised they would deliver to every road we have, advised them of that they missed. But after that, residents will have to go to the grove to get their waste sacks. And there's a £40 embedded action activity by the Code Administration.
Thank you, Councillor Oswald. Councillor Stephen
I'm just going to focus on this. I'm not going to repeat what they said about meetings, unfortunately. This is something I'm concerned about. It's the proposed Churchill retirement development highlights a serious problem facing Hyde. The continuing loss of local, centrally located housing sites for age-restricted schemes with very little provision for younger residents, families or downsizers who do not want retirement accommodation. We already know that Hyde has a significantly ageing population and projections show the over 60 demographic rising sharply. But that reality actually strengthens the need for a balanced housing market, not one that becomes dominated by retirement complexes. Our adopted neighbourhood plan is very clear. It says Hyde and Dibden should provide a mix of housing types with an emphasis on homes of up to 3 bedrooms, meet the needs of first-time buyers, young families, key workers and older residents wanting to downsize without that age-restricted scheme. The hospital site and the Lowway development are good examples of this. Both provide non-age-restricted homes that serve a real local need, but these schemes are being overwhelmed by the number of central sites being taken by retirement developers. The Churchill proposal sits on one of the few remaining opportunities to create a general housing that supports all age groups. If this site goes to age-restricted housing, we lose yet another chance to deliver homes for the very people our neighbourhood plan says we must support. Once these central plots are turned into retirement flats, they are gone forever. We cannot reclaim them later, and we cannot build a sustainable community if younger people, families and working age residents are priced or forced out. I'm asking the Parish Council to recognise the Churchill proposal as part of growing balance, reinforce the neighbourhood plan's requirement for mixed housing, and send a message to NFDC that Hyde cannot sustain further retirement-only schemes. We know we're facing the age-26 in model, or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to have more and more people out here trying to get out to hospitals, in Southampton, Lymington and everything else. I don't think we should be doing that.
Thank you, Councillor Osborne, but we've got to be mindful that we cannot prejudge an application before it comes before the planning committee, because if we do, then we're opening ourselves to a challenge. So I understand what you're doing is expressing the views of your residents there, not personal views as a member of the...
It was, yeah, I got photographs yesterday and residents saying what's going on with it, because I'm doing it, I said I'll find out.
And I knew that'd be the case, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Councillor Alfred.
Thank you, because most people have spoken on my report, so I won't repeat. On Hyde Police Station, our church has obviously put forward their proposals for the vacant site for 45 flats, 6 cottages. There were 79 comments when I wrote this report, as of Friday the 21st, there are more now. The consultation opens December 12th. I would encourage any interested party resident to comment on the planning portal. There is significant public interest, but Facebook won't get it according to looked at by members and officers. Councillors, it's your duty to share how to do it and remind people to put it on the proper and appropriate area to comment. I would also add that, and it is in my report, I have reported to the planning officer of the large advertising outside the police station. This was commented on social media, and it gave the impression that it was a done deal. And again, those standard comments about council background envelopes, it was found on the council, it was found on us, and whatever the case, it is that an impression one way or another should be given, and I've asked that the planning officer investigate that. I saw the boards go up Monday evening at 9 o'clock, and then the actual advertising was there by Tuesday morning. I had a meeting I walked by, so it has been logged with the planning officer, Robert Fay, because that has caused consternation. On bin bags, NADC have started finally delivered them, kind of. Many local roads do not have them delivered or have double deliveries. NFDC did do doorstep visits by wasting identifying which area had been missed and where this had been confirmed. The whole road will be re-delivered to guarantee coverage. Local members reported at least 20 to 30 roads to NFDC officers which were missed despite being advised otherwise. I can't tell you how many comments and queries I've had about these. I mean, it is a serious matter. People pay for it. It might be a joke to some. Lots of issues are paid for, and a lot of people mentioned it to me willingly without delivering. So it is. There were offers early in the process to make it easier made by local members, and it's disappointing that was missed. I will be checking with residents, but moving forward, NFDC residents will have to go to NFDC offices for future collection. It has taken up a significant amount of council time. It has been a frustrating and poorly managed process. Resources and transformation. Last week we received a half-yearly update regarding complaints to NFDC. 168 were recorded in the last 6 months. 89, or 53%, were due to waste and transport, 69 due to missed bins, the most common thing being lack and delay of service, and a high number of stage 1 complaints upheld. Of the last calendar year had 232, so complaints by comparison will be higher. However, the new waste service is having that noticeable impact as expected. There are 40 housing tenants complaints, and it was quality and delay of service that were main issues, with communication rates for housing and wider complaints across NFDC. I highlighted 4 comments over bin bags and collections to officers. NFDC is bringing in a new CRM system for managing resident information and data. It will be providing a central links area for resident interaction to the council. Trials are ongoing, and there's a net call system to allow for an AI phone system to answer calls, understand requests, and filter to relevant department. The new system, when live, is available 24/7, will improve the resident experience. I have asked for more detail on testing, because all residents, no matter how they communicate over a phone, and it will be considered to ensure people are understood and can use the new customer contact system. We all sound the same, people who are hard of hearing, for example. Council will also advise that works be considered on public conveniences, and I didn't refer to Hyde, and we will wait and see on that. The panel also endorsed the financial strategy Tustin Fish Street, chaired by Malcolm. We had feedback by the portfolio holders on their plans for the council's financial strategy. It was very interesting to see in writing reference to expanding the town centre master planning to all urban hubs in the districts, like ours, building on the ongoing work regarding Chotton, exploring the level of resources required to invest in high street quality and attractiveness, supporting empty shops, investigating what more our partners can do to improve leisure for low-income households, and considerations to be given to car parking incentives, such as 1 hour free parking in town centres. across the district and the impact this would have on finances. The latter has been a key Lib Dem campaign for years, fascinating to read, and interesting, we had one of our own sharing that as well. Last month, full council, as you mentioned, I proposed a motion. I just want to thank Councillor Cullen for his thoughtful contribution in that. Unfortunately, it didn't get through. I did also ask the portfolio holder responsible for parking charges the estimated cost of 1 hour free parking at NFTC car parks not on a seafront and proximity to a high street. It's just for the winter period, November to February. He estimated it would cost £120,000 per annum for 1 hour tickets for a year, so at 40k. It was important to consider when we need to be encouraging more people to use our high street businesses. I asked if this would be considered, if not for this year, then for the next budget, and figures presented to councillors so you have the data to make an effective decision. I was told this would be taken into account. This followed an amendment for full 1 year free hour parking by the Lib Dem councillors to the medium-term financial plan, a motion sadly lost. But included some important points from Highland Division members on the importance of supporting local businesses and high streets, and I did highlight the challenges our towns and villages are facing with independent businesses often run by our residents and our neighbours, and that parking charges is where we can help reduce the challenge elsewhere. Our Conservative colleagues compared to other authorities with one potential shopping area like a Gosport or a Fairham. However, one of our colleagues did make a valid point that we're more like Test Valley, which has a similar parking approach but charges cheaper hourly rates. The council's approved its air quality strategy, and I did ask for consideration to be given to adding high ferry and other ferries for alternative transport, which was agreed by the portfolio holder, and we did support the document. Other members noted it did convey and have an impact on air quality. Alwod's Law, which is NFDC, is now advising housing tenants about important legal protections to come into force on the 27th of October, commonly known as Alwod's Law. The new rules require social landlords to act quickly when residents report serious hazards such as damp and mould, excess cold and heat, unsafe electrics, gas supply and other serious hazards. Under the law, landlords must investigate these reports and they must carry out urgent repairs if there is a risk for health and respond to emergency hazards within 24 hours. We know the tragic reason why this is called that. Fountain Court. Local members have spoken with NFDC officers to provide reassurance and clarification of rumours that Fountain Court was planned to be used to home migrants as part of the government's programme. There was plenty of community interest and concern, but we were advised that any NFDC location was considered. A full consultation with affected partners such as NFDC and other public bodies would be undertaken, and hence the information at the time was not true. And I just have an update about the water fund. Okay, about the problem. Because you've had no update, Byron, we had a response to Philip and myself saying that all the noggins are repaired underneath and the metal plating that holds the round seats is with the manufacturer, and they are now waiting on decking timbers to arrive, which should be very soon, as it's a 4-week estimated delivery. And it's just to confirm these are just the damaged sections for now, and NFDC will be raising another improvement and replacement to cover the next few years, as a lot of the timber is nearing end life, so rotting quicker now. And the algae and mould is due to jet wash, then treated with an deep mould spray. If you get any questions, you can feed that back, and I will share with residents. That's not in the report because it was asked yesterday.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Comprehensive report. We're going now on to reports from members serving on. Everyone said everything?
Go first next time.
It's fine. Okay. If you had anything to add of value, I would have said so. We're now moving on to members serving on outside bodies. So, Councillor Dowd.
On the 13th of November, I was delighted to attend an assembly at Wanfern Primary School to present school council badges to the children elected in each year group. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Dowd. It's really important that we engage with all members of our community, and especially at a young age, to get them to value the democratic process. So, thank you very much for that. Anyone else? Councillor Jones.
Pretty sure Councillor Wade has received the same invite that I had to Associated British Ports Next Port Consultative, which is in February. We might be on before that.
You won't be.
Thank you for that. Want to shout anyone else? Gone? Okay. So, now we move on to the public forum. Do we have any written questions by elected?
No.
Okay. So that's a move from that. Right. Councillors to take brief questions from councillors. The floor is yours, members. I can't think it's going to be tumbleweed when we go. Councillor Hurst.
Yes. Question to the chair. I believe that Richard Parkinson of ABP replied to your email asking if he would respond at least to some of the questions that we put. And his reply was in due course. That was at least 2 weeks ago. Have we heard any further from Richard Parkinson? Do we have any idea what due course means?
Very good questions.
He responded, I think he responded to me as well. Yes, you're quite right, with due course. It was probably more than 2 weeks ago. I've not heard anything further. And I have no idea what due course means.
Okay.
Back to this year.
So yeah, maybe we'll push them on that. That's if you don't gag when you get what we see what's send them about the scope. Councillor Wade, I do believe was before you, Councillor Jones.
No, you get us.
No, Councillor Wade, please.
Okay, I have two. Firstly, is the chairman aware that this Saturday is Hyde Mistletoe Fair, which is a community event from Hyde Alive and Hyde Green Parish Council, and where he, from the chair, encouraged all members to share and promote and encourage people to go to this event. And as with any other parish council initiative, such as the cinema and the class cinema, and encourage them all to share this on their consistently and regularly if they don't already. And secondly, to Councillor Malcolm Wade, the Council Councillor, with the lack of correspondence from certain individuals to your letters about the ferry, will you discuss with me, and you don't have to do it here, about alternatives and who we can raise this with and keep banging the message and banging the drum about support for the ferry to ensure it doesn't go quiet?
And I answer the question as well, Russell. Yes, obviously, I mean, I have seen, I'm a selfish person on my social media account, I've seen other posts about the mistletoe fair. The only thing I would ask is that you pray for better weather, because at the moment it looks like it's going to be atrocious. So unless you're selling brollies, it's a lot more difficult. So, yeah, and obviously you were there at the NFDC meeting where I asked the leader of the council to write to Nord. I don't know whether or not that's been happened, so I'll also push that. So.
Thank you. I have written to Secretary of State Transport, Minister of State Transport, Under Secretary of State Transport, and they've all collectively and been very consistent in not responding. I have written to the Minister of State twice. Right, now, clearly, probably I'm not high important enough, hierarchical, even though as the council authority to get a response. The issue with this is that it's an easy thing to steal money. Getting steel out of an NFDC isn't like getting blood out of a stone. It's about hiding stone in the steam to get the blood out. However, I have pushed in at NFDC that they spend all their steel money before LGR. Because while they can argue about budgets and the medium-term financial plan, steel money is separate. It is money collected for the benefit of the New Forest District. And, you know, we're also pushing for steel money to be used on the Prospect Place project. We all went to that meeting. It's one of the last point is, you know, that there are other individuals involved in this, and we had a discussion outside this, Ben was there as well. My understanding is that Nord haven't actually completed the sale, the purchase of the ferry. I don't know if that's true or not, because there's no one to sell. So, if we know that they have purchased it, and I know that Sherman's already written on behalf of the council, then we need to start banging their door. It's an anomaly at the moment. If you can point me in the direction, and I'll happily go in any direction to try and get ferry going. But looking at the still portion, that might come later on as the energy progresses. But we need to know, there's too many anomalies at the moment. We need to know where to go. And I'll happily write to and change anybody, but I'm just running out of options.
How do you respond to that?
It needs to be red funnel.
I have got some suggestions for you that I'll raise, but it would better coming from you than from me.
Okay, we'll talk about it offline.
Okay.
Councillor Osborne.
Yeah, can I just say that these precious free parking days, if Mistletoe Fair is cancelled, can we request that it's repeated and moved to another date that helps us again? Because I think the traders are quite pleased with its free parking. Beaulieu had 100% rain on Saturday, and they sold tickets, 800 tickets. So it still went on, but it was quite hard to cope in that way, as you say.
I don't know what the protocol is. It shouldn't be cancelled. I'm not saying it would be cancelled. I'm just saying the heavy rain would presumably, no pun intended, dampen the attendance. So, right. Any more questions from councillors to councillors? Thank you. Right. Take a deep breath, Councillor Wade, you're back up again.
Yeah.
326.
Okay, right. First of all, I went on briefly about AP26, but I think I need to just put it in context. I've been arguing with traffic officers, traffic engineers at Hampshire for many, many years. I mean many, many years. But the AP26 is very busy. Their view is only to be busy north of Marchbury. And this, in belief, has guided their activity for a considerable amount of time. There was a consultation before the pandemic about the members of the public what they wanted to do with the AP26. And there were many options. The majority was to do it north of Dibden roundabout, or not north of that one, not south as all the houses were, as some people were spreading at the time, but north of that, where there was very housing was a problem. But they decided that was not cost effective, and they'd have to use land through the National Park, so they were opposed to Jewett west of Tottenham and do one or two minor tweaks. Well, that process in part involved Jewett west of Tottenham, because it's not been built yet. That process involved, and then there was a series of consultations a few years ago where they put out a series of plans. All this time, Hampshire has been saying this is to improve traffic flow north of Marchbury. There was no indication that they were involved with an associated British force. That was mine delivering to everybody. I put this at the beginning. Well, I raised them. I found out by accident that we're going to put another junction between Veals Lane and, not by accident, but Kelly Star found out, not for normal cultural events, between Veals Lane and Mutton Pilgrim. I said, this is the survey. No, it's this to take transport. Right, and then this APB started making Mercury's who want to start developing Dibden Lane. So we raised it again. No, the APB are keeping their quote, they keep their cards close to their chest. Quote. Another time, and you lived the last presentation I had, they said, no, it's convenient for them, isn't it? Well, thanks to Councillor Webster's FOI, it turns out that that wasn't the case. Now, while officers cannot lie to members, they can certainly be selective in what they say, and it appears that's done. So I've written to the strategic director and copied the chief executive of the county council for an explanation of why this activity has been going on. Every time I've asked about it, it has not been communicated to me that it's not problem. However, apart from the fact of APV, and we're going to talk about the Dibden Road Working Group in a minute, there are some significant implications to this. Road itself that will seriously affect our community. And that's why we want to bring this to the attention to them. But the first thing is, this project can only be done with government money, which they haven't agreed yet. It should come through in 2026. The cost of it will be between 150 and 200 million pounds. They were to make 7 changes they want to change to 7 junctions on the A326. One of them is in Walnut Archery. They want to close off Twigs Lane and close off Staplewood. It's the traffic. Both directions. If the funding comes through, the work will start in 2029. It will take between 3.5 to 4 years to complete. There will be continual roadworks on the A326, the artery to the waterside. About the Marshall Junction, there are 2 roundabouts, one on A326 and the other on Hyde Road. The design may change, but the junction is to take all traffic from Marchwood. The implications of people in Marchwood are that traffic from Solar Gateway 1 will come through the village. And a lot of the others, because that's the only way to get it, there will be a new road from Solar Gateway 2, not near it, or actually parallel to Fields Lane, to take that traffic. Somebody said to me, I can't remember, wasn't it? Said that there's a problem going some straights, but Solar Gateway 1 to 2. That, I'm not sure that may take Solar Gateway 1 as well, traffic through its route, but that's not definite. One of the things they said, and I do believe this is true, that they have a basic plan, but they haven't got the final designs yet. So there's a lot of parts of this. They know what they're generally going to do, but they haven't got every detail measured out yet. And that's the way these things are done. Now, if you look at that in itself is concerned, what points I raised which are really different, I said they didn't have in their thinking a traffic management plan. Now this is really significant. If you remember what happens when Southern Water dug up Bedford's flyover, or we get an accident or road works in the A326, it's gridlock. Right? The answer to my question on this was, we'll only close off one lane at a time. Right? So, and leave that messaging. The Marchwood Junction, they were going to leave as just a roundabout. Now, think about roundabouts in England, we give way to the right, don't we? Most of the traffic to Solar Gateway 2, regardless of whether they were told by ABB, will all be by road. Because all the export traffic has to come by vehicle. Right? So that the trucks going in, hundreds a day, and coming out from the right onto a roundabout, plus Solar Gateway 1, plus all the traffic from Marchwood, they want to divert that way. They don't want to use Jacob's Cut the Lane, they want to bring it all this way. Remember, Marchwood is the only lorry park on the waterside. It's in Marchwood. So I said, you really need, if you're going to put a roundabout on A36, it needs to be single, so you've got 50% flow by the way. Oh, what am I thinking about that? She wanted to know what the issues were locally. I can assure you I was not shy in sharing the issues that anyone in this room that lives south of this would have. Also, she wants to feed back any issues to the council. I said, well, I'm going to talk to the parish council about this. I'm going to share it with them. Right? Because it's not, you don't need every bit of detail to know, to see how horrendous problems it is going to be for us. You know, at home I working life, I drove up and down the A326 in convoy traffic. Right, so I know exactly what it's like. And we've got equally as much traffic now, and if you block it, it is gridlock for all of us. So this is a big issue, and it is connected to the A3B. I don't doubt they wanted to take the traffic over March, as we've been talking about for over 10 years. I don't doubt that that is true, but it's more convenient. Some of the emails were dated back to 2020, I believe, where certain individuals were discussing the APB. So the two intrinsically met. And the next item which we're going to talk about, I think, is an excellent report that he's put together, which is really good. We need, even if APB and this weren't even discussed and connected, that they strategically planning, they both come together. You can't, even if they were connected, we know they are. They have to be looked at as a case because the influence of such on the planning and the way it's going to go in CDD. So, if you've got any more questions, there isn't finite detail that's no answer. If you want to give it to me, I will go back to the office that gave me this presentation and I will get the answers. But every time that I do, and there's particularly for those who are very understanding and keen on the detail, right, not all of the detail is available, but certainly the framework is available. And if there's questions on that, I will happily go back and try and get answers.
Absolutely. So firstly, when will be more information, not necessarily the specific detail, but in the public domain? And secondly, I will put my comments and questions in writing, but I do think the traffic management plan it's going to happen. So a traffic management plan has to take priority, and it has to account, as well as looking at how they can fund and support. I mean, it's going to cost so much. Giving some contributions to local buses and ferries wouldn't hurt, but how they get traffic off Beaulieu Road through Lyndhurst, which people will use, and they will go through Hoops-Green and past Old Forester and past Longdown, because when that happened, I went that way, getting more coffee. I queued all the way back from practically the Old Forester for ages, and it was gridlocked. That will happen consistently, and unless they find alternative measures, their air quality strategy we discussed, they're going to be sat in waiting cars. They need to think of that now, and they need to support alternative. I will put this in writing.
Can I just answer one question? The plans for this will come, I suspect, in 2026. The work won't start in 2029. That's provided the government commits the money. And with their what they call it, growth agenda, it's likely that they will commit to it.
Thank you.
Councillor Jones.
Malcolm, given that several of us went off to the southeast, we went to the southeast.
We did?
We went to the southeast, what's it called? Quadrant.
Yeah,
Could you share that requirement to have feedback regarding the management plan to the parishes within the forest? Because that was one of the things they raised.
You said it was in the file, couldn't you?
Yes, and asked them to share it back out, because they were concerned about several things, stuff that we'll talk about next, but also the fact that the traffic goes into the forest when the 326 is stuck. They know that, and they know it's coming. It'd be good to feedback their concerns, so that it's not just us, having a bit of a gripe that it's our road, it's everybody else that it affects, probably Ashurst, Lyndhurst, anywhere you go, everywhere.
I'm happy to do that. I mean, what is just perhaps Clark on this is, what's the best vehicle to feedback the quadrant, feedback to the county council, the quadrant's views on this A326 work.
Do you have their minutes? Can you get their minutes? Is it in the minutes?
Well, yes, we can forward it to Alex is the chairman, so he's the chairman for that area, and through the Falk is probably the most appropriate. I think we get their contact details, so you send them to us. We can forward that to you.
Can I humbly make a suggestion then? Perhaps, as this is a presentation to the parish, I told you to send it to the parish council. If the parish council emails me as the county councillor, that is a little bit of extra direction with all the questions you've got. That for me to take them forward. And I can send it not only to the project manager, but his other boss for a response. That gives it a little bit of extra gravitas.
Right, is there anyone else who wants to say? Councillor Webster.
Yes, thank you, Malcolm, for offering to put the questions that about the A326 that we would put to you, and I can send some additional ones to you. I just want to make sure that we do everything possible to get answers on behalf of the community. And so I have to explain what happened back in July. Back in July, you and I met, we discussed the A326. We composed together 16 questions. You agreed to put them, actually, it was back in June, to the officers. The officer, Jason Tippler, the lead officer on the A326 project, declined to answer any of the questions, and he, in his answer, he essentially gave a similar sort of excuse that I think you may have got at a meeting recently. We're at a preliminary design stage, and many of the questions you asked are about matters associated with the next stage of detailed design. He was playing for time, because as we now know, one of the very clear questions you asked was what contact there had been with ABP. I didn't have the answers yet to the freedom of information requests I'd made. He didn't answer that question. Well, he gave it, I'm sorry to say, it's a misleading answer. We need to make sure this doesn't happen again. What I think should have happened back in July is that you should have chased up Jason for answers. Can you make sure that this time you do not take no, you do not take woolly answers or non-answers, we just keep on it. Persistence, because persistence will pay off. What these officers do is compose woolly answers hoping that it goes away, because what they're aiming for is to override us. Go on the 4th of December, Frank Baxter told me, he's Jason's boss, lead officer for Strategic Transport, Hampshire County Council. On the 4th of December, Hampshire County Council will have a meeting whereby they will seek permission to put the planning application into government, put the request for funding. They're trying to railroad this through, and they've been playing that game for years. And it's going to be so devastating to our community. People are going to die in the back of ambulances, as well as those jobs. And children are going to be late for exams or miss exams altogether. There'll be horrendous consequences. All for what? Because there are zero benefits that I can see to anyone living south of Marchwood. So in other words, the entirety of our parish. Zero benefits. Even when it's completed, it will actually lead to longer journeys. So a pack of lies have been told to our community about the real reasons for this. The real reasons for this, the only reason the government is going to put £200 million into this is because ABP and Forley Waterside and other major landowners have claimed that there's going to be £4 billion worth of economic benefits, which, I'm sorry to say, they've concocted those figures.
Okay.
Sorry, just to summarize, we must stay on it. We must not take woolly answers and just go silent and not follow up. We have to follow up. That's all we can do.
The situation now is different to when in June and July. In June and July, I have seen evidence that they were communicating regularly with OPP. The fact that I have complained at the highest level about that, and that should or alert them to the fact that they have to play it more straight back than they have before. And the other thing is that APP will be doing their official consultation, do the unofficial one at the moment, official one next year. Now, At the same time, the plans for this should be going into the public domain. So there can be no excuse for not giving more detail, right? But the way the county council works, whether you like it or not, when you ask senior officers an answer, they give you an answer, you do tend to assume it's the truth, right? And that's not a naivety, that's the way it always is. It shouldn't be that they are playing a double game. And I'm not saying they are playing a double game, but they haven't been totally open with all the detail, I think is one way to put it. But now that situation is not the case, because it is clear and transparent that there are aspects to this that we weren't aware of, but we are now. So it will be a lot harder to dodge this, because we now know that.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to the next item on the agenda, is there anyone else who wishes to say anything or ask any further questions to Councillor Wade? I'll take that as a no. Thank you very much.
Can I just finish one point, Jeremy? If all the questions fed to the clerk, they will come from you as chairman. That goes for me as the county councillor, and I can then take that to the county council at highest level and then give that resolution to this.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, before we move on to the next item, which is the Clifton Bay Working Group, I would personally like to thank all the members of the Clifton Bay Working Group. I think 2 people who deserve single out for their efforts, and that is Councillor Ben Webster and Councillor Vicky Jones. Thank you so much for what you put into this report and making it a quality report that it is. So, heartfelt thanks to you both. Thank you very much. And all our other members working.
Oh, sorry, I forgot what I was looking for. I'm really important. Forgive me, please. I think we discussed in a previous meeting, and we do need to do this, is can this council arrange an official meeting with the residents of Main Road and Fields Lane to get their views on this, because they are the residents in Dipton who will be closest to the port and the ones with the most, and feel the most impact for any development. And we need somewhere, I'm not saying, setting something up somewhere, so at least the local members, you can get them, we can't do it down there, we need to do it in perhaps like the parish hall and invite them to come along and discuss it with us, to get their issues, so that we can not only represent them, but we can put them across to the association reports as well. Because only a small group of people on the edge of our community, it's quite easy to forget them, and I don't forget them. Right, so I would like, I don't know what the route is to look to the clerks, perhaps guys and that. If perhaps we could arrange an evening here, or the parish hall, invite, not the parish hall, might be very bigger, and invite them to come along to chat with the local members, any members of this council, just to get their views, so that we can make sure that is reflected in further discussions with you. Sorry, I've written it down.
Thank you, Councillor Victor.
Chairman, if you are trying to liaison, now can I tell you anything?
Certainly, makes sense.
And I'm thinking more of a drop-in rather than a formal meeting would be used.
Oh, yeah, drop-in would be fine. We need somewhere to do it. We can't do it down there because there's no down.
I'm thinking, can I speak to myself? Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, good.
So what we're going to do for now is consider the proposed response. You should have all that information in your agenda pack. Should have had a chance to read it and digest it. Okay. So I'd like to open the floor to any questions or any points that you'd like clarification. Councillor Wade.
The only point that I couldn't see overtly clarified, and I might have missed it, because basically everything else is absolutely perfect, is around where we would put, and it might not be relevant at this stage, is that reassurance on future possible development options, and whether there was anything mitigating saying that this is going to be where they're going to stop, and that the rest of the land couldn't be considered for future development. I hope I'm wording this correctly.
It isn't relevant because it's an environmental report, so impact. So it's responding to the scoping report.
That's it. What's that?
Yeah, so it isn't, but I think we do mention it in the appendix A, B, wherever we put the question which we have previously asked. So it's mentioned in that, but it's not relevant to them making sure that the environmental report that they are going to produce has the things in it that it needs to have. And it's 700 pages of wishy-washy.
I think that's the way it's speaking.
Thank you for clarifying that, Councillor Jones. Any other questions? Anyone need any clarification on this?
Sorry, Chairman. Just so we're correct, the working group agreed a response a week ago, 10 days, whatever it was, which is including the agenda pack. A lot of work has gone on in the last week or so, subsequent to the agreed response being published. We've had further information supplied by Councillor Webster. Councillor Jones has done an enormous amount of work in the last few days, evenings, mornings, all sorts. The updated response needs to be formally proposed, seconded and voted on before we have the power to submit that formal response. So if we can go through that process when you're ready, I would be grateful.
Councillor Jones.
Do you want me to read the little write-up then? Okay. So, Chair, Councillors, I bring this item forward to request approval for Highbury Parish Council's submission to the Planning Inspectorate's Environmental Impact Assessment Scoping Consultation for Solent Gateway 2. This response is the result of significant work by the working group over the past month. The scoping report is nearly 700 pages long and the timescale set by the Planning Inspectorate has been extremely tight. So I want to record my thanks to members and the clerk for supporting this work. Our submission does not express a view on the acceptability of Solent Gateway 2's development itself. It is made without prejudice to the Council's position. What it does do is ensure that if the applicant proceeds, the environmental statement includes the full, lawful and realistic scope of assessment that a project of this scale and sensitivity requires. Key issues identified in the scoping report include misinterpretation of our neighbourhood development plan, where restrictive policies have been quoted selectively in a way that implies support for expansion, a lack of detail on reasonable alternatives, which is a legal requirement under the habitat regulations, significant impact on the SSI, solar protection of the SPA and the Ramsar land, including more than 100 hectares of SSI at Dibden Bay, unclear proposals for compensation with no sites identified, interdependence between Solar Gateway 2 and the A326 North Waterside Improvement Scheme, including a new Pilgrimage Junction and wider corridor works, Freeport-related economic assumptions that may not demonstrate a national need case, and following concerns raised by NFDC and HDPC councillors, very limited clarity on current flood risk baseline data for high Marchwood Evening shoreline. Our response requests that the environmental statement assessed by the Planning Inspectorate must include the full ecological impacts, cumulative and in combination effects, the entire A326 North scheme where it relates to SG2, and a proper assessment of flood risks and coastal change, which is an urgent gap affecting multiple authorities. The working group also recommends that once submitted, this scoping response and supporting documents are published on the Council's website for transparency and shared with neighbouring parishes, NFDC, the National Park and relevant county members. Chair, this submission ensures Highland Dibden has a strong evidence-based voice at the early stage of a nationally significant infrastructure project. It reflects our responsibilities to residents, to our environment and to the designated sites as defined this area. I therefore move the recommendation that full council approve the scoping response for submission to the Planning Inspectorate.
Just go to the okay. Councillor Webster.
Or back to the proposal. But this is really good document, and there's an interesting part of this, that environmental issue. This some consideration of this. APD's plan is to put in what was it they said, a country park and a wildlife sanctuary. This is the normal ABP, Associated British Ports activity. They've recognise that when they put the new application in, it will impact the SSI and the environment. I don't profess to be knowledgeable to what extent it will. So this is their attempt at a blunderbuss type of mitigation, because they wouldn't have put it in without that, knowing that that's basic. Now, whether it is suitable mitigation or not remains to be seen. I wouldn't profess to be an expert enough to make a comment on that. But clearly, it is really important. What is good about this, not only the parish councils are going to produce a document about it, so it really is a good thing. I can't put enough for that. So I fully support it. So that's why I was going to propose it, but this is a good document for us to go with.
Thank you. So maybe we can crack on with trying to get it there. Councillor Wade.
I just want to have a look. Can I just have it in minutes that we thank Councillor Spencer and Councillor Jones for their hard work?
Yeah, that's it. And then, do it. That's what we said, Councillor.
He's out there.
Yes, okay, right. All those who are so it's been very seconded, all those in favour that this is our response?
Yeah.
Okay, no one's abstaining unanimous.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you.
Can I just say something? As soon as you have got confirmation from the planning inspectorate that they have received it, can you then publish it?
I'm going to publish it. You get the email first thing, we'll publish straight after. Because that's our official response.
I just suggested that is what we share.
No?
Sean's going to share it out to the other parishes, but I suggest that we get that out there and point people to that direction so they can see what we've done.
Can I just double check, on the list of organisations that you're sending the response to, was the Environment Agency on that list?
Not particularly, but I think we can add anyone to it, should anyone thinks.
Thank you.
Certainly if you've got anybody's names, rather than it just going off to the Falcon. No, but we can send that to them as well.
Who, sorry?
Natal, the new boss of the local council.
I don't have a contact. Can I forward it to...
I'm going to forward you the same contact with regards to the South East London people.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Because if we can share it, then anybody else that's been asked for their opinion can use anything.
Alright, so we'll take to move on to the next item then. Yeah, okay. Which is the council and committee dates, July 2026 to June 2027. Yes, Councillor Wade.
On May 2027, I wondered if there needs to be some corrections, because this is the annual meeting turned around the council, because there will be elections on probably Thursday the 6th of May. So last time we didn't have planning at the first meeting. You had to have the annual full council, and planning actually occurred on the same day as full council according to the minutes of 2023. So I'm not sure if we need to have council planning swapped or changed just for that period. And do we still think it's appropriate to have amenities the day before elections, or push it into later in May?
I take your points on board and I will look to come back with you.
These are my points, not flexible members. I just noticed them.
No, that's fine. It's a good point. That's all right. Thank you. If we can have a look at the rest and agree then, we'll bring the alternative back to May. Just sorry, Chairman. The Planning Committee, due to the limited numbers on there, and the members that are on it, they have various appointments. So, whilst trying to retain data on each particular line, is the council happy for us to have some flexibility to move it AM, PM from the night, just so we can ensure that at all times we make the best chance of being correct. So if members are happy to provide that flexibility to that one committee, I think it would be useful.
Yeah. Well,
I accept that.
Thank you, members.
I don't know whether it is.
Well, I would guess Marcus being the brilliant deputy clerk is will liaise with members in advance, so then we can ensure we bring it there.
Yeah,
Right.
I might.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay.
So, I'll look at May, I'll the rest of the paper members.
It's October and April, I believe, climate ones.
Thank you. Marcus is making that with the for the members. Thank you.
Right, now we move on to the exciting stuff. So the replacement mounted tractor hedge cutter. This is the bit you've all been waiting for, isn't it? I think. Right, so I'm assuming this is just a note, isn't it?
We need to formally accept that one, please, Chairman.
Okay. So,
I've got all the details to give you.
okay, Marcus, would you like to say anything?
This is just a very brief one. As you know, it's just part of the normal maintenance thing. The current machine has come to the end of its life. Those who are at meetings will know that we recently bought a new tractor. We wanted to make sure that whichever tractor we chose would fit and would flail, and it's just the timing of it and everything together.
So proposed for.
Okay, so everyone in agreement? Okay, thank you. Right, so now we move on to receive the interim audit report for April to September.
It's in the pack, Chairman. It's self-explanatory there. You see from the report, there's no issues. I'm happy with it. So.
Okay, anyone want to ask any questions? No. Okay, someone to be proposed to
I did have a question.
Go on.
So it is suggested with regards to the parish council should review its earmarked reserves and is considered appropriateness for those not being used. Is that something that will be brought back and considered by the committee? Or?
Sorry, Alex, can you repeat, please?
It says, it references how the parish council should review its earmarked reserves on an annual basis to consider the appropriateness of those that have not been used. So we do tend to discuss this in budget making. That's fine, I'll shut up.
Okay, right. So,
Yeah. Members, budget, there are a series of questions that are in this budget section. They're statutory, we need to do that. As you know, this year, the budget, or the committee budgets, have all been considered by the relevant committees and passed. All that information is then passed into the budget papers that we had access to. And I recognise that the spreadsheet contained in the budget papers is very difficult to read on the screen, especially the little pad you've got. So if any member would like the spreadsheet section, there are hard copies here. Does anyone want one?
yes, please.
Yeah. Just makes it easier to read if you need to do that. As I was saying, every committee has considered their budget, and this has all been fed in. So we are where we are. There's an accompanying Word document which sets out where the expenditure is and why we're doing what we're doing. Happy to take any questions you have, members. Otherwise, we can go through the A to E on number 15 on the agenda. And then
Which page was it?
it's on item 15 on the agenda. There are a number of
Yes.
we need to specifically deal with each of them in order to satisfy the processes, please.
Okay. So, it's higher fees to begin with.
Actually, let's ask the clerk just to confirm the weekly rise and the overall percentage increase.
It's 5.3%.
Yeah. What was it a week extra? Or a month, whatever it is?
I believe, without finding my own, no, it's not. I think it's 14p.
Huh?
I think it's 14p.
14 billion, cheap at the price.
Okay, so on the in the Word report, preset next year is 1,284,463. Equates to £3.26 per week for a band D property.
Yeah.
which is a rise over last year at 14 pence.
Good.
Okay,
That's very good. So I'm
recent
interested.
rise of 5.3%.
That's really good. A lot better than the other budget.
Working next year.
So all fees.
So they do if members approve of all fees.
Okay. Michael, the members that approve these,
Do you need us all to propose?
well, let's go properly.
I'll propose to approve them.
Someone say?
Sorry, this is the whole lot, A?
No, this is
Just A.
Very simply, yeah, sorry.
Is this the fees and charges?
It's,
Item A, 15A.
I'll second that.
okay, everyone in favour? Okay. B, to consider whether the council wishes to continue to provide free office space at the Grove for the Hive Peer Association and the Handy Trust. Yes, Councillor Martin.
Just a quick question, and Alex may know the answer to this, because Malcolm and I actually had a meeting with the chairman of the Home Affairs Association. We had him here, and he said at the time that I don't think they use that office. Now, I don't know, I wouldn't want to take that office off them if it was useful to them, but is there a cost in providing the office that they have to us?
They have very limited usage. I guess, and don't hold me to this, if we managed to rent it out, and that would be quite difficult in the current market, it would be about £1,200 to £1,500 a year we could get, if we could let it out, which is debatable.
Which is right.
Yeah, it's debatable, and plus a later item on the agenda
Yeah.
suggests that there may be a problem down at the end of the building, which we may have to address shortly. So,
Okay. So we might, right. I don't know if this is worth raising this as an issue then. My position is I don't think they're using it, but they're a fantastic organisation, so I wouldn't want to cause a problem.
They do tend to use this as their postal address.
Right.
So they do, because I see the control system and things like that, so I do see them members coming in and out, and they do get regular post here. So it's just to say that.
Councillor Dan.
Yeah, sorry, I neglected to mention, I'm going to declare non-pecuniary interest in Part B as a trustee of the Handy Trust, so I will not vote on that item.
I shine through the
Oh, right. Trustee Handy.
Well, thank you, Councillor Dan. I'm assuming we're just going to say,
I believe the higher charges were agreed, so
Yeah.
I believe it's, yes, we will continue to grant the office space to the Handy Trust
yeah.
and the HPHA, and there's members from different.
You can put in care interest and trustees and trusts as well, right?
Yeah.
It's fairly clear, cool.
Okay, so we have someone to propose, Councillor Sam.
Ask the HPHA whether they want it.
I did last year, and I think this year I did not to, because last year they confirmed they did require it, and it's the same type of usage this year. So.
Okay, so Councillor Shimano, I believe, proposed. We have a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Jones. All in favour? Thank you. Next, we're moving on to the approval of the council budget for the year 26-27.
Just to confirm, the council budget next year is 1,386,133. So that's the budget. Okay, then you take the income off to get to the preset. So if you can agree with 1,386, 133, I'll be grateful.
Okay, can we have the sum of, okay, Councillor Wade and Councillor Jones seconds. All those in favour of approving the budget?
Yeah.
That's unanimous, thank you very much. And the precept, if you could just remind those who
The preset next year, preset request for NPC next year will be 1284463. So that's what we're going to ask NPC.
Can we ask one, two? Thank you. Good luck over there. Councillor Webster, Councillor Wade and Councillor Jones. One proposed, one seconded. Final one, to approve the list of earmarked reserves.
Okay, in the word report members, is the earmarked reserves as of the 30th of September, because that's how we work the budget.
Sorry, can I just check, did we vote on item D, because that's to approve?
Well, that's right, some apologies, thank you for picking me up on that. We did have a nominee and a second that getting ahead of myself there. Can we all vote on to approve the request for the precept 2627?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the EMRs, there's a list in the Word report which you all have. When added up, they total 534,593. What I would like is, there is a list there, and the list highlights likely expenditure, or if not, it's ring-fenced for things. Something like Fernhill, the members years ago put their council grants into the Fernhill replanting project. That project sits in the EMR, it cannot be used for anything else, and that explanation is provided next to that heading, and there's also a summary of what's been planned based on council decisions for the rest of the expenditure. And I have made it several times for every committee, there's a bill coming to this building, and I may come back to you shortly. Is it possible to readjust that or reapportion that to the earmarked reserve or something else? But all I need at this point is that you're happy, and the council is happy with the earmarked reserve that we're holding, and you have the opportunity at this point to say, no, I don't want that anymore, we're doing this with it. So I just want you to confirm that you're happy with the earmarked.
Can I ask a question, Chairman, on this? Yeah, it's about the trade deals simply from. Now, how much, I know because we hired the building from NFTC.
Right.
I remember the
NFTC leased us the building.
leases the building.
No monetary implication to this council.
Then we subleased it to.
Yeah.
So what's the sinking fund used for?
The way the lease was set up many years ago, and we will look at the council later, was we would be what we call landlord responsibilities. So that's the formula. Yeah. And remember, as a council, the deal enabled us to save a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah.
But we couldn't save all the money. We needed to retain some responsibility so the club could stay solvent. We build, it's roofing, external issues, or things like a hot water boiler or boiler. So there's a sinking fund for that.
Right,
Let's build out, and we will be running into expenditure at some point, because mechanical infrastructure is 1990, so it's getting on.
Because it was a long time ago when we did that, I was trying to remember which bits we were still responsible.
It's a complicated piece, but it's why we save quite a lot of money.
So the question is, do you approve the list of earmarked reserves? Those seconded. I haven't asked yet, sir. Can we all vote on this proposal? Thank you very much. So, on to finance. So, to receive bank reconciliations for October 2025. Any questions before we? Okay. Is anyone prepared to nominate that we accept that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Mr. Wade and Mr. Wade. All those, can we vote? Just noting, thank you. You know what, you made a great job. Right. To approve the paid expenditure. Okay. Okay, we do need to vote on this. Next one proposed and second. Thank you, Councillor Wade. Thank you, Councillor Dowd. Can we vote on it, please? Thank you. Hampshire Pension Funds received the actuarial evaluation by the Dividend Council.
I will be very brief, Chairman. Every 3 years, the pension fund evaluation to see how it's doing, and it in view to look at how much money we need to raise. I have a document here which has been circulated, and actually tracked it. There's a very good cause and volunteers don't share publicly. So you have it in your agenda packs, I have it, but in essence, and this still needs to be confirmed at the end of the valuation period, which will be next year now. It shows that there will be an employer's contribution reduction of around 2%. Reduction. So at the time, it's not a huge amount of money, but there will nevertheless be a reduction in the personnel budget next year, and I'll reflect that reduction. Not a reduction, but it won't be as much as it could have been if the contribution rate stayed the same. But all I'd like to do is note it, you've had it, and I'll write the reduction in pension contributions within the personnel budget.
Today announcement is going to make any impact on that?
We're also up till 2029.
That's 29, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I was watching Avenue today. As well. Yeah, 2029 it comes to us in 2028 and we'll work out the budget. So good point.
Councillor Wade.
It says employee members, but the valuation related, new valuations on 16 employees. Is that every employee currently, or is this for asking us to make sure any new employees, including one recently recruited employee for maintenance?
Excellent point, Alex. Every member of staff is automatically enrolled as required when they reach the threshold. We have one member of staff, for their own personal reasons, has come out. We've had formal written notice that they don't want to be part of the pension scheme, so therefore...
Their decision.
Absolutely.
That's fine.
As much as we can, we provided advice. They came out last time as well for the auto enroll.
Okay.
They just don't want to do it.
That's
not for their own reason. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Thank you, okay. So that was just one, isn't it? Thank you. Right, D, local government pension scheme to confirm that all employees of Highland Griffin Parish Council are eligible to join the scheme. As well.
Excellent. I've got a request that this council formally resolves to agree that all employees are eligible to join the scheme, and they will keep the resolution on their files. It's mainly for their purposes. Just need a written confirmation and I'll write to them.
Okay. Down to it then. Right, everyone votes on this, please. Thank you very much. Right. And now it's the exclusion of the press and the public. Okay. Someone second that? Yeah.